we're back today and I'm gonna be reviewing and giving you the first impressions of the new Double Wear Nude by Estée Lauder, and this is the newest version of the so famous cult foundation Double Wear. If you're a newcomer, I've had acne since I was 11 and I used to love the Double Wear foundation even though they didn't have my shade at the time. I used to love it because it was full coverage, it would cover every imperfection, even applying it with my, messy hands, and I found that as my skin grew up and became a little bit more mature, it also became a lot more dehydrated, especially due to acne treatment, and so that foundation for me is very tightening and drying, and it just feels really uncomfortable. So when they released this new one, I was all about it. I'm like, yes, I've been loving lighter coverage anyway, so why not give it a go, especially because they also released a lot more shades. And yeah, so my shade right now is Porcelain 1NO. This is supposed to be lighter coverage, more comfortable, more suited towards dry and mature skin types. This is the shade. It seems like a pretty good match. The only concern, of course, is this has no pump. For years and years and years, this foundation, the Double Wear Classic Foundation, hasn't had a pump. Very recently, they came out with a pump, but it costs £5, and it's an outrage. I'm outraged. It's a high-end foundation. It has to have a pump. It's not... Drugstore foundation have pumps. I'm gonna apply my primer first. I always use hydrating primers. Today I'm using the Heimish Artless Glow. This is a K-Beauty one. It's just gonna, hydrate and prime my face and make sure it doesn't get dehydrated throughout the day, because I have acne-prone skin, but very dehydrated acne-prone skin. I'm gonna do half of my face with a brush, and this is a very dense brush. It's my favorite foundation brush, is the Morphe M444, and the other half with the Beauty Blender, which is my favorite. Like, if I have to use a brush, this will be it, but I always use my Beauty Blender. I started playing. I really like the texture, I'm not gonna lie. It is very skin-like. More coverage than I expected from this kind of texture, and I also want to see if it's buildable. So this is like a first layer with my brush. Let's see now if I do kind of like this. It buffs on nicely. I like the texture, and it is quite buildable. Let's do that sponge bit. And this is more pigmented as well. The reason why I think some people prefer brushes is because sometimes they offer more high coverage. However, I think the finish isn't as flawless. I'd rather build it up and use a little more product that the Beauty Blender sinks in a little and steals, but have a more flawless finish, I think. Okay. Oh wow, the finish with the Beauty Blender is so much better. I don't know why people still use brushes. I don't get it. I'm sorry, but I don't get it. It offers lower coverage with the Beauty Blender, as you can see, but this is also our first layer. Let's build it on a little in the areas that need it. And this is supposed to be a water-based foundation, and I think because of that, I have to use a whole lot more with the Beauty Blender because it drinks it literally. Overall, as you can see, it's not a high coverage foundation, it's a medium coverage, but I have really strong pigmentation because my skin is so sensitive that my acne spots are like, with the sponge, even though it sinks up a lot of your foundation, it is easier to build up with a decent finish. This looks more cakey with a brush. So this is really shiny. The reason that is because this is indeed a satin finish. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all, but don't forget that I did use a glowing primer underneath it, because that's just the only way I can test the foundation. Otherwise, I know it's gonna go cakey and the review is gonna be, it's a crap storm. I'm gonna set this up with my usual powder, which is the By Terry Hydra Powder. But yeah, that's just the way I like to test out foundations, because I like to use the same products that I use daily so that I can really kind of review it fairly, because if I'm not powdering it up and I'm not using the same primer I always do, then how can the results be fair? So yeah, I'm gonna powder this up a little bit. As you know, I like a bit of a glow. First impressions is give this a go, but I'll be back in a few hours. I definitely, in a regular day, still conceal this. Yeah, that's my personal preference. I usually prefer a lower coverage overall and then to pinpoint conceal. So now it's around 2 and I'll check back at 6 and then I'll check back at like 10 p.m. again. It's been 4 hours. It's holding off pretty well. I mean, it is, look at that glow. Oh my god. I've never had a foundation give me that glow and at the same time not make me super oily. I am a little oily on my nose. I would powder that, definitely, but I'm not super oily. And I take this look with a little bit of oiliness here over a cakey, powdery, uncomfortable mess any day. I didn't have any uncomfortableness at all. I'm very surprised about that. It's very glowy, so if you have super oily skin, you might be better off with the original Double Wear. I think dry skins would like this, mature skin types as well, or skins like mine that are combination but very dry, like dehydrated. The coverage did fade a bit, which I was expecting, and it's really fine because again I would pinpoint conceal with this one. And it isn't an acne covering foundation. It's not supposed to be, so not bothered about that at all. I am very surprised about how it faded though. If you can see, like, my skin is usually very, very patchy, and it faded somewhat evenly. There's no like dry halo patches around my pimples, which is unusual for a foundation. But if you can see here from like wrinkling my nose and doing this and stuff, there is like a fine line there, which means it's breaking down due to the excess oil. Even then, it's not like too much oil. I feel like some foundations that are this glow inducing are so much worse on my nose. So I feel like this is a good one. Even though it's glowy, it's not making my acne texture really, really bad, which is good. It's not caking at all. There's a little bit of like accumulation here, which is normal because I have one of those chins that does this. It happens with every foundation, so that's not really something I can complain about. I've just been kissing my cat, so if there's like cat hair, that's why. Also puts the foundation to the test. It looks a little bit more patchier than before, but again, that's expected. It's been another 4 hours since the last check-in. It still looks very, very glowy, which I'm all about. The nose doesn't look much more oilier. I didn't powder or anything like that, and it stayed as oily as it was in the last one. There is a little less coverage here, but again, I was kissing my cat, so I'm gonna have to blame myself and the cat for that. This was the one I was most concerned about being like a halo patch, and it isn't at all, so I'm surprised about that. I think it's a little cakier on this side where I put the brush than on this side where I did the beauty blender. Again, I'm really loving the glow, and I'm thinking this might be a daily foundation for me. This is how my forehead looks, the under eye. Definitely thumbs up for me. I like how it looks. It doesn't cake up. It doesn't accentuate my flakes or my pimples or anything like that. So I really like it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Don't forget to click the little bell button to know every single time I'm uploading. So bye!